Stop. Don't buy that Pix package or All Access. Wait, what? Yep, don't click Add to Cart until you check out our new deals page at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where you can find all the latest offers, promotions, and coupons available all in one place. These deals are updated daily and can be found by clicking Deals in the nav at WagerTalk or Sports Memo, going to wt.buzz/deals, or scanning the QR code on your screen.
Welcome into Wager Talk's first pitch here. MLB breakdowns on 3 games for tonight. We got best bets at the end. I am Drew Martin, joined by Ariel Epstein and Adam Trigger. Going around the horn here. Wednesday, May 25th. Ariel Epstein already with a winner on the slate, and more to come. Welcome in, Ariel. Happy Wednesday morning to you.
Happy Wednesday morning, Drew. I am so excited. Not only did I cash a strikeout prop by 2 p.m. Eastern time, it was a plus money play. I went over on 4.5 strikeouts for the Colorado Rockies starter, Ryan Feltner. He ends up at plus 130 right before first pitch. It cashed against those Pittsburgh Pirates. Show me the money.
Cash those tickets. Absolutely. Looking for some more action. And I should say, happy early afternoon to you, Trig. I believe you're up there in the East Coast, man. Welcome in.
Well, Drew, it's early afternoon, but to be honest with you, I don't even know what hour it is right now. I was up till like 2 in the morning last night grinding out the San Francisco Giants. One of probably the most ridiculous game I've watched this season, maybe of the last couple of years, just back and forth, and they finally walk it off. So that was an awesome win for me. And then I get bailed out big time in KBO this morning. I was down 8 runs with a run line bet, but the game got called short for rain, and I get a no action. So I've certainly been on the wrong side of that before, where I've had a game get canceled that I was way ahead in. So nice to get bailed out for a change. Keeps my nice KBO run intact. And I hope to have a 5%er up in the KBO. The lines have not come out yet for the day, which is an issue. So, check back on my page in a couple hours, because if I get the right number, I'm going to fire big in the KBO for tomorrow morning.
At Top Flight SI on Twitter, and known by some as Korean Adam, guys. Check out that WagerTalk.com for that 5% play. Ariel, he brings up the game last night. I got to hit it before we talk these games. The New York Mets, San Francisco Giants. Guys, if you did not watch it, that's one of those you need to go watch the highlight reel. It was a great game. Ariel, in my opinion, it was the best game of the season so far. What were your thoughts there? Jock Peterson putting it in the bay late to tie it up. Wild game down the stretch.
It was wild. Also, if you hear about the story pregame, it was even more wild. Jock Peterson was talking about how Barry Bonds was in attendance at the game last night, one of the best hitters to ever happen to Major League Baseball. Bonds was giving hitting advice for hitting at San Francisco. Peterson, along with other players, said that it really stayed in the back of their minds throughout the entire game. It really showed when you put up over 10 runs each per team.
Yeah, that was a wild one. Back and forth they went. But hey, guys, on to today's slate. We got May 25th, Wednesday games here. Cleveland Guardians, Houston Astros, first game up. Ariel, coming to you first. We get Quantrill versus Javier. Christian Javier going for the Houston Astros, the 25-year-old Dominican up against Quantrill. Former first rounder out of Stanford, 25 to 15K to walk rate, but actually 0 walks the last 13 innings here. He's been a lot better, Ariel. I don't know if that makes the case here for the big plus price underdog on Cleveland. Houston, always a tough team to go against. They're in Minute Maid, 13-6 home record so far. What are you thinking, Cleveland and Houston tonight?
I'm looking at the strikeout prop for the Houston Astros starter, Christian Javier, under 5.5 strikeouts. The Guardians really don't strike out a lot. Against right-handed pitchers, they're averaging just 4 strikeouts per game. When Cleveland's on the road against a righty, righties are 4-11 over under a hypothetical 5.5 strikeout prop. They're averaging just under 5 strikeouts per start. Javier has only gone over this number 1 time all year, and that was his last start with 9 strikeouts against the Texas Rangers. The Rangers have been striking out a ton lately, probably one of the higher K rates in the last couple of weeks of Major League Baseball. When you're looking at a team like Cleveland, who really doesn't strike out much, this number on Javier is just too high. I'm going with the under 5.5 strikeouts on Javier tonight.
Like it, Ariel. And Trig, coming to you next, heading to Houston tonight, Cleveland Guardians, and the Astros. What are your thoughts here, bud?
Well, I definitely think Ariel's on the right track, wanting to go against Javier. That's kind of how I'm looking at this game as well. Of the three we're going to talk about, it's probably the least conviction I have in terms of making a bet here. But that's how I would play this, would be to look to fade Javier in some capacity. So Ariel's talking about strikeouts, fading him under. I kind of want to fade him as a starter because if you look at his season numbers, 2.87 ERA, 1.02 whip. You remember he was in the bullpen to start the season. He had a lot of success early on. There was rumblings like, why is he not in the starting rotation? The Astros they had starters in the starting rotation. They had the luxury to do that. But as a starter, ERA is 4.50. So I think he's just a tad overvalued, in this spot. And Drew, I've mentioned this, sort of ad nauseum when I come on First Pitch or the other shows I go on WagerTalk TV. I love a road team plus 1.5 at a reasonable price. And that's what you're getting here. You get the Guardians right now. It looks like plus 1.5 is in the minus 120 to minus 125 range. And, like Ariel said, they're scrappy. I'm still kicking myself that I didn't get to the window with them in the first game of this series. They were a similar place. I think it was Plesac on the mound, and they won that game outright. But in this case, just from if I have to bet this game, I do think the Guardians can have some success off Javier. And for me, that's enough where plus 1.5 with the road team at a cheap price around minus 120, sort of makes enough sense. So again, Quantrill, his numbers are solid. So it's more of just me willing to kind of, roll the dice with Quantrill here and fade Javier. And I'm getting a price with the road team plus 1.5. It means the Astros will have to beat me in 8 at-bats, essentially, right? Because the only way they're getting that at-bat in the bottom of the 9th inning is if they're tied or behind. So, again, probably my softest lean of the 3 games we're gonna speak about, but I do think Ariel's onto something. I would go against Javier as well. So give me Guardians plus 1.5 here.
Sure, and Dad, onto that Cleveland. If you're, different metrics out there, you could make the argument the Guardians have had the best bullpen so far this year, at least by bullpen whip as well. So that should help you in the later innings there, Trig, plus the 1.5 on the Guardians. Guys, we got next game up, heading to the Sunshine Series here. We get the Miami Marlins, Trig, versus the Tampa Bay Rays. Cody Petit going for the Fish. He has started one game before, but mostly a bullpen arm, although he does have great numbers, Trig. 23 innings, only 2 earned runs. Going up against Drew Rasmussen, the former first-rounder out of Oregon State. Tampa Bay, we know how good they've been. We know how good they are in Tropicana, commanding a minus 175 price tag right now, as high as minus 180. Total of 7, little juice towards the under. What are you liking in Tampa Bay tonight?
Yeah, so Drew, I have strong opinions on this game. Unfortunately, I think the books have kind of priced me out here. So to start with the side, I'm not going to put anyone off of the Rays, right? They've absolutely owned the Marlins, 15-2 against them since the beginning of 2019, and the Marlins have had the worst record in baseball in May. So I would not talk you off of the Rays, other than you're going to have to pay a premium to back them here, which is obvious by the price. Drew Rasmussen is someone I absolutely love. We've talked about him on this show a couple times. His numbers since they've moved him to the starting rotation have been outstanding. He's just impossible on lefties. Rasmussen's a guy I'm happy to back. He's someone I've looked to back at different times this year. 2.33 ERA, 0.91 WHIP. And this is not new. Like, the books were sharp to this. Like, the Rasmussen's prices have been outrageously high pretty much all season. You go to the other side with Cody Petit, he's more of a bullpen guy, so you're probably going to get a bullpen length type outing from him here. But I lean toward thinking that for the time he's in, it's going to be pretty good. Both of these bullpens we've seen, we saw the Rays struggle with the bullpen early in the year because they had injuries, but they've slowly sort of crept back into, right on the fringe of kind of having an elite bullpen. They're right around the top 10, but maybe 8th, 9th, 10th in most bullpen metrics now. and the Marlins are right up there, 5th, 6th, 7th in most bullpen metrics. When you look at the bullpen side by side, I really liked the under initially, but again, I think the books kind of priced me out here. Under 7 is tough for a full game under. So that my lean here, I think, would be to go first 5, because at least you get that extra half run. And now under 3.5, you really don't have a ton of room for error when it comes to, having to only give up three runs or less in the first 5 innings of a game. But Rasmussen is nasty. I don't see him giving up much.
Yeah.
And Petit, his numbers are great. So if he ends up going 3 innings and then the Marlins get into their bullpen, I guess I trust them enough here. So the way I would look to this game is under 7 for the full game. It's tight. I'd probably prefer the first 5. And if you pin me down for a side here, I'd go with the Rays. The Rays have been undervalued to me all season, and I just think they've owned the Marlins. So why not one more?
Ariel, what are you thinking here in Tropicana? I mean, Rasmussen, not only does he have a great first name, he's got great numbers. Only 1 earned run in all of his starts this month. What are you thinking in the Trop tonight?
I'm on the same page as Trig. I like an under of some sort. I would not go full game under, though, because I still, even though these bullpens have both been very good lately, both inside the top 10 for bullpen ERA, I'd rather focus in on these starting pitchers who have also been phenomenal. I think a first 3 under or a first 5 unders in play. Again, with the Ghost Runner, you can have a great game that's going to the under, going into the 7th, 8th inning. Then maybe the game stays tied after the 9th and it's 1-1 or 2-2 or 3-3 even, and you're feeling great. Then you've got the Ghost Runner. Now, what have we seen with the Ghost Runner? There have been double the amount of runs scored in extra innings than there have been in the first 9. The Ghost Runner is a killer at the under. Stick with those first 5 or first 3 unders where you don't have to worry about that extra runner on second base.
Sure. That's a great point there, guys, because those are tough to take when you got the right side, like Ariel was saying, 2-2 going into extras, losing those. That's a real tough one. But hey, also something to note here, guys, we're seeing this, minus 180 here on the Rays and a total of 7 with juice on the under. It's just like Trig pointed out, it's tough to lay that much juice in a game that's totaled so low. Runs at a premium, just something to think about there. But the Fish, 5-17 against teams over 500. It's just not a team I want to back. And to Trig's point, the Rays have absolutely dominated the Fish in this series. So, hey, it's a tough one for me to get on, but we do have one more, and this one is my best bet. So, Ariel, coming to you first, heading out west, Southern California here, Texas Rangers at the LA Angels. We get Greg Otto on the hill for the Rangers, former 5th rounder out of Rice, originally picked by the New York Yankees, traded over to the Rangers. We're seeing Texas losing 3 straight here. Angels winning 3 straight. Detmer's on the hill, the lefty, minus 170 price tag on him. Total of 9. What are you liking in Los Angeles tonight, Ariel?
Honestly, not much, Drew. I don't really have much of a feel for this game. I was trying to find a strikeout prop to like. Reed Detmers would be the play, except he's only gone over 4.5 strikeouts 1 time this year. Granted, it was against the Rangers. I get nervous because he just faced the Rangers in his last start. He had 4 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings. Detmers just hasn't been getting far. He hasn't gotten out of the 5th inning yet. And lefties have done really well against Texas. They're averaging just under 5 strikeouts per start against them. Lefties, when the Rangers are on the road, are averaging just over 5 strikeouts per start. This should go over 4.5 with a back-to-back, though, essentially. In addition to Detmers not really going far into games, I'm staying away from this spot, Drew.
Okay, not much on this one. And in Trig, hey, it's my best bet, man. So I'm going to let you go first. I'll finish it off here. What are you liking in LA?
Well, Drew, we didn't talk before the show, and my show best bet is in this one as well. So we'll see if we're on the same page or not. I'm going to start with just a thought from the Giants-Mets game last night. As I'm watching the Giants kick the ball all over the field, the Mets announcers, brought up how poor the Giants defense has been. Only team worse in baseball in terms of defensive efficiency is the Phillies, which is kind of a known thing at this point, right? Because they've been bad defensively for a couple of years. Leading baseball in defensive efficiency right now is the Angels, which off the top of my head, I would not have been able to give you that answer because this Angels team last year was one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And it's got to be the Joe Madden effect, right? Because all of a sudden, the Angels, who for years were bad defensively and struggled pitching was awful, now have great pitching and play really good defense. So, that's the type of underlying stuff I tend to not want to bet against. But man, again, we've talked about this. I feel like we talk about this every week. The sharp bettors, quote unquote, love this Rangers team. It's like every night the Rangers get hit by, respected money. Now I don't know that they've really been right more than they've been wrong on the Rangers this year. I think there was sharp money on the Rangers last night again. Of course, that didn't get there. The Angels won the game 5-3. But there's respected money that's seeing something in this team, and it kind of has me intrigued. That the Rangers have potential and would be a bet on going forward. I still think Marcus Semien has been terrible. I feel like he's going to have some positive regression at some point. And for this matchup in particular, the Rangers have hit Detmers well so far. They've actually blown him up a couple times. His ERA against the Rangers is 10.29, and they're hitting .310 against him so far this season. So that could regress. But another thing I think is going to regress is Detmer's home numbers: 1.96 ERA at home, a 0.57 WHIP. Opponents hitting a $105 against him. It is insanely low. Obviously, he had the no-hitter, so that's probably, sort of inflating some of those numbers as well. Again, this goes back to like one of my betting strategies. I love when I can get the road team +1.5 at a reasonable price. I'll be honest, the price right now, Rangers +1.5 being in that -140 range, is just a tad expensive for me. But if the Angels keep taking money, over the rest of the day, and all of a sudden I can get that +1.5, in the 130 range, that's probably the way I would look here, because I do think there's enough familiarity where the Rangers, they started to hit late. They got hits off of Angels relievers last night, which I think is important. They had a guy on third in that game. They had the tying run at the plate after Syndergaard pretty much wiped him out for 8 innings. So I think this is a good spot for the Rangers. You're getting the run head start. It's cheap enough where I wouldn't put you off playing it. Rangers +1.5, -140. And if it gets a little lower, I'll probably add it for clients. So that's how I'm looking here. Rangers +1.5. I think they hang around, potentially win, and can at least get the money against that margin.
That's Adam Trigger. And guys, I'll just start off best bets right now. To Adam's point, in terms of the Rangers' success against Detmers, I think they put up a couple crooked numbers here, and we get the number one hitting lineup in the Angels, talking about weighted runs created plus number for the full season here. They also smash righties. Otto, of course, coming from the right side. He's had trouble here. Look at his strikeout to walk ratio. Talking about the starter for the Rangers, 18 strikeouts, 13 walks on the season. There's going to be a lot of bat to ball for this Angels offense. Again, the number one offense in MLB. And Detmers overall just 24 strikeouts and 34 innings pitched. So I think there's going to be a lot of bat to ball for the Rangers, a lot of runners on base. I think there's a lot of scoring, plus the fact both bullpens. LA's bullpen is actually pretty good. Rangers, not so much. So I think we could get some late innings here. I wouldn't be surprised if the Angels put up a bunch, and Texas as well. So seeing the total 8.5 at a lot of books out there, guys. There is some juice, -120. There are 9s out there, but make sure to shop around. Like always, kind of the smart decision there. So can get 8.5. -120 on the over for my best bet here in the Texas Rangers versus the LA Angels. Going around the horn, Ariel Epstein, follow her on Twitter at Ariel Epstein. Catch her here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel on Wednesday's First Pitch. Also, MLB Network and Yahoo Sports as well. She's a great follow, guys. Catch her work all over. Ariel, we got final thoughts for you. Feel free to take as much time as you want. I know you got a lot of K props out there. You already cashed one today. And if you got any best bets, we'd love to hear them.
The best bet of mine for the strikeout props is the under on Christian Javier, the Houston Astros starter tonight. One more strikeout prop that I'll just throw out there. It's heavily juiced, so you may not be able to get it anymore. It might be priced out. I got it at -150. Washington's right-hander, Eric Betty. He's going up against the Dodgers, who on the road against right-handers. 10-4 over under a hypothetical K prop of 3.5. They're averaging just under 5 strikeouts per start. Pitchers against the Dodgers averaging just over 4 strikeouts per start when a righty is up against them in general. And Fatty's gone over this number in pretty much every game he's pitched, except in Colorado, which is known for unders anyway at Coors Field, and then against Arizona. Otherwise, all his other starts have gone over 3.5 strikeouts. I like that number. Then for a side, because I haven't given out a side yet today, I'm going with the Baltimore Orioles on the run line at +1.5 against the New York Yankees. If you look back at all these games between these two, a lot of the games are decided by one run. The Orioles are going to have a really good pitching advantage today. They have an actual, I shouldn't say professional, a major leaguer on the mound in Tyler Wells. They're all professional baseball players. Their major leaguer, though, is Tyler Wells, who's starting for Baltimore, who up against the Yankees in his last 2 starts has allowed just 2 runs in 9 innings pitched. The Yankees have a rookie going on the mound, making his major league debut in JP Sears. Sometimes that bodes well for a starting pitcher. However, the Yankees are going to have to go to the bullpen early. The Yankees don't have their closer, Aroldis Chapman. He just got put on the IL. Now the Yankees have to go to their bullpen without their closer. It scares me a bit, and they put Chad Green on the season-ending IL as well. The Yankees also have a ton of injuries to their lineup. Their DH, Giancarlo Stanton, left the game in the 7th inning last night due to a right calf injury. In addition to DJ LeMahieu being a scratch yesterday because of a left wrist injury, the Yankees also have Joey Gallo and Josh Donaldson on the COVID IL. There's just a lot going on with this Yankees team right now that the Orioles, they have a lot of momentum on their side with them bringing up Adley Rutschman, one of their top, actually their number 1 prospect. He made his debut this week, and the Orioles have to be feeling good about it. The Orioles have the 3rd best bullpen ERA in the league right now. I'm going with the +1.5 on the Baltimore Orioles in New York tonight.
Ariel, good side. We're seeing at the WagerTalk odd screen, guys, 220 of the opener on the New York Yankees. Yep. Now as low as -152. I mean, we're already, late May.
And the
we don't see
have
that
been back in the Yanks. There's been like 70% of action, money and bets coming in on the Yankees. It's been major reverse line movement in favor of Baltimore.
We know what that means. Guys, check her out on Twitter at Ariel Epstein, always breaking down the line moves there. But I mean, Ariel, you know the markets as good as anyone out there. I mean, a 60-point line move in MLB in late May, you just don't see it very often. I mean, is that something you look to tail? I mean, is that something that it's just kind of like watch out and dig a little deeper?
If the numbers and if the analysis can match up with it, then I usually tail it and jump on the move. I did that with the Boston Red Sox yesterday with you, Drew. I had the Chicago White Sox team total under. You had the Red Sox on the money line as well. I tailed that line move because there was reverse line movement of a 10-cent move or more. That's kind of my window, 10-cent move or more. If it's something like I saw yesterday in the Dodgers-Washington game where the Nationals in the Dodgers game had reverse line movement also, yet there was nothing in the analysis that led me to really wanting to back the Nationals, then I just stay away. Granted, the Dodgers crushed them. I just like to stay away from those spots if the analysis doesn't work with the move. In this case, Baltimore and New York, the analysis makes sense. The Orioles are at an extreme advantage when it comes to the pitching matchup, and the Yankees, in regards to their health, it's diminishing right now.
Yeah, great points. Guys, obviously, Ariel, knowing the AL East, knowing the New York Yankees, I mean, banged up right now, and obviously the market showing it. Looking at the WagerTalk odd screen, guys, 60-plus point move here towards the O's. Watch out for that tonight. Hey, Adam Trigger, Korean Adam at Top Flight SI, WagerTalk.com. Guys, check out his KBO. Only $9 each and not every night. Actually, Adam, get more into that, man. How is that KBO on the other side of the world, and what's your best bet, man?
Yeah, so I'll start off with a couple thoughts first. Couldn't fully agree with Ariel. I definitely lean toward Orioles +1.5 there, and that's probably a sharp move. And once again, the books are showing that they're smarter than you. You know, they're going to force you to pay -150 to back that +1.5 in the Orioles, and that kind of move. You know, I saw that this morning, and like before I could really, decide, okay, like Orioles is the right side, quickly moved, and that's no coincidence, right? Like that's probably the sharp side there. I didn't get to the window with it, but I would not put you off betting the Orioles, taking the 1.5 with the road Orioles in that spot. Drew, I agree with, your over in Rangers Angels. And I want to throw one thing out before I get to my best bet. If I have any Major League Baseball today, I'm going to give it out for free, and I'm going to give it out on the hustle tonight. on WagerTalk TV at 6 p.m. Drew, we're going to miss you tonight, but Prop Queen's filling in. It'll be myself, Ariel, Joe Ranieri, Chris Thurston at 6 p.m. And I will, if I have a best bet, in Major League Baseball, I'm going to be giving it out on that show. Haven't got to the window with anything yet today, but definitely tune into that at 6 o'clock. KBO, I don't know if the odds makers are sleeping in today, Drew, but usually we have lines by now. And when I came onto this show, not one book had KBO lines up. So okay. I'm rolling in the KBO. I got bailed out this morning with a rain out in a game that I probably would have lost. So if I get the right number, I'm going to send it in for a 5% play, and you'd be able to find that on my page. So follow me on Twitter at TopFlightSI, because I'll tweet that out if I'm going to play it. Best bet, as I alluded to earlier, Rangers plus 1.5. You're probably looking at minus 140 juice. This is on my very short list of potential client plays for today. And one thing I didn't talk about earlier was Rangers pitcher Glenn Otto. Now, Drew alluded to his numbers not being great, and they really aren't, but the bulk of the damage to Otto came in that one start against the Red Sox, where he got absolutely blown up. He's got a nice sinker, and the Angels haven't seen him yet this year, which I like. They saw him last year, but I'd like to think he's a more mature pitcher this year. He's a young guy, so he had the benefit of having an off season after making his debut last year. And the Angels haven't seen him this year, and that sinker can be tough. Rangers bullpen, not great. Obviously, the Angels have the advantage there on paper. But as I also mentioned earlier, the Rangers got to the Angels bullpen last night late and nearly pulled off. They were right there with a guy on third in the bottom of the ninth, kind of rallying off of Iglesias. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers get a couple off of the Angels bullpen again here. If for nothing else, then, kind of having some confidence getting to Loop and then getting to the Angels closer last night. Ranger, they've hit Detmer so far. So I think the Angels are a little bit overvalued here. And I do like the Ranger. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers steal this one and win this game. But the plus 1.5, forcing the Angels to win by margin in basically 8 at-bats, seems like the right call here. So Rangers plus 1.5 for my best bet. And tune into the hustle. I'll let you know if it's going to be a client play or not.
Trig on the Rangers plus 1.5 minus 140. I'm on that same game. Angels Rangers over 8.5 minus 120. Ariel on Christian Javier under for his K prop, and the Orioles plus 1.5 minus 140. Great analysis on that. Fading her own favorite team in the New York Yankees, a little bit banged up. Guys, check her out. MLB Network, Yahoo Sports, and right here on Wednesdays on First Pitch. Trig, WagerTalk.com, myself as well. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Catch the hustle later tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. For Ariel, Adam, I am Drew. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk tomorrow.
Stop. Don't buy that picks package or All Access. Wait, what? Yep. Don't click add to cart until you check out our new deals page at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where you can find all the latest offers, promotions, and coupons available all in one place. These deals are updated daily and can be found by clicking deals in the nav at WagerTalk or Sports Memo, going to wt.buzz/deals, or scanning the QR code on your screen.